Welcome to Two Guys and a Tiny Desk, a bi-weekly theological podcast developed by two seminarians to discuss big ideas on a tiny platform. You're invited to join us on a journey of self-discovery and transformation.
Hi, my name is Joel, and my pronouns are he, him, and his.
Hi, my name is Aaron, and my pronouns are they, their, and them.
Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides. Just like hopes springing high, still I rise.
Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head, lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise.
Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
Beautiful.
I don't think anyone I don't think anyone can give this poem wings as much as Maya Angelou herself. No matter how much you try to emulate her or you get someone to, put their own spin on it, no one can say it like the timbre of her voice. Yeah, it's like you know it's her poem because you just know.
It makes me go back in my Christian tradition, and Islam would probably see it the same way, and Judaism too, because I'm looking like, Hebrew scriptures about how that was the story of the people of God. Always the story of the people of God, that they were always the oppressed. They're always depressed by society. They're always, the othered in society. And, I love the quote, the Bible is a book that is meant to be read, right? And it's not, it could be holy, but just as a book, just as a narrative that meant to be read, what I get from it is you, with faith, no matter how you see God, right? With faith in God, the Almighty, however you name God, you can rise no matter what. It may not happen right away. It may not happen the way you expected it. It usually never happens the way you expect it, actually. But it happens. And I think it's important for me to do this because from Christmas or, from the end of December through January, the beginning of January, the holiday season that we celebrate, it's a real time in the Christian tradition, in the Jewish tradition. I don't know about Islam, but it's like a time of great expectation, a time of faith and it's a time of hope. And specifically for me, in my family, during that time when people were on Christmas Day, where a lot of the Christian religions celebrate the birth of Jesus, although it's not his birthday, although it's, that's when it's celebrated. I got one of the worst news, and I won't go into detail, a lot of detail, but about my family. And it was somebody who really brings light and joy to the people who they touch, were literally incarcerated. They were, I don't even know the words to use except for what really happened. They were kidnapped. And having a strong belief in God, having the faith that as I've read the scriptures, as I've learned, as I've seen in my own life, that when it's the worst of times, God has a way to pick you up, to get you to rise. That's exactly what happened. And to get kidnapped like a movie, was the name movie Ransom? Something like that happening to you, to your family, and then you say, man, I really have the faith that this person will become free, will be free. And it didn't take long. Like, I had no doubt. There's been like 3 or 4 times in my life where I felt like this no doubt that of being arisen, of being taken up from a bottomless pit, and it happened. And I am so joyful that this person came out safe, although there's medical conditions, stuff like that, like safe and happy. And you think about that. I mean, Aaron, you're a military person, right? You're a military person, and you have been in battle, and PTSD. But for that to happen, this person being able to really have the faith and the joy and the peace while there, to know that they would come out with like no real PTSD.
You know what's strange for me is that once I said I'm choosing to talk this talk and walk this walk, I have come to the realization that I fully expect issues, problems, challenges, obstacles. I wake every day expecting to be challenged. And that's more so because my faith is strong to the point where, although I wake expecting a challenge, I also have the knowledge and the presence of mind to know that whatever challenge comes my way, I'm equipped to deal with it. Because, I firmly believe, nothing is going to be put on your plate that you can't handle. So I know I'm going to be tested, but I also know I'm going to pass the test. So I'm not really worried. I don't have just throw caution into the air kind of mentality, but I do understand that there will be challenges, but I believe that I'm equipped to handle whatever challenges comes my way. I didn't say I'll get out unscathed. I didn't say I'll come out, obviously not tested. I didn't say I'll come out, smelling like a rose, if you will. But I do know that I'll come out. That's just where I am with it. So whatever it is, whoever it is, however it is, show your face, come my way. You might get the best of me in the beginning, but I know in the end, I'll rise. So I'm not so concerned with 2020. It's been a hellish year. I buried a friend of mine not too long ago, young lady I grew up with, 47. contracted lupus, went into a rehab facility, never made it home. This past May, we buried her grandmother. And there were other friends of ours who, at the beginning of this COVID crisis, we buried. And actually 3 weeks ago, we lost another friend. So it definitely is not the best of times, but I still have that knowledge in the back of my mind, in the back of my brain and back of my being, that it's going to be okay. I don't understand. And some things are not meant for man to understand without limited knowledge. But I just know that faith that, pushes me forward every day, that, I'll get up, I'll rise. So that's where I am with it.
I gotta tell you, I think I've been through a lot. I'm processing, right? I see a therapist. I'm trying to process things in my life. But all of these things, and maybe I'll talk some more about other things that have happened, but they build my faith.
Mm-hmm.
It really builds my faith. Every time I rise, like physically I rise, but spiritually I rise too. And that is so, 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 so important. And Aaron, I know it's probably not your favorite scripture, but it's what I think about so much when I think about you. And it's, you wrote a sermon on it, but that scripture where about the I forgot his name, but about the man that had all the spirits, the demons that were
the Legion. The Legion.
I always like the way you interpret that, and I don't know if you want to talk about that or not, but like I see it in you. I see, not that you have legions. I don't mean it like that, but I see the difference in you, the growth in you, the maturity in you, in all ways. Not only as a person, a member of humanity, but how much you've grown spiritually. I think we've known each other 5 years, right?
Yeah. 5 years. Mm-hmm.
And I see the difference, like a tremendous difference.
Yeah.
Talk about your experience a little bit.
No, yeah. Yeah, it's funny because that scripture actually has come to be one of my favorite to interpret, because for me, it's like the earliest time of mental health being mentioned in the Bible, and mental health is something that I myself deal with, depression and PTSD from war. And, obviously these wars don't have to be like physical combat, but I think surviving society is a war itself, and we pick our battles. But to have a legion of issues, I think we all can resonate with that. A legion of traumas, several hundred different things at once that are bothering us or holding us back or preventing us from seeing like a different way. We talk about embedded theology in seminary. That's part of that legion that was inside that man, so many things that determine how we think and how we respond to issues, but I love how in the story, Jesus is this healer, and he didn't tell the man what was wrong with him. Instead he was just with the man, and said, it's okay. Never judge the man based on what he looked like and what other people thought of him. Because remember, the community thought he was just a fucking demon, like a barbaric savage that needed to live and exist on the outskirts of the community. And, when I broke down the scripture for a paper, I didn't realize that the man was in this place that was considered the ghetto of Rome. All the sick and the people that were thrown away were sent to this area. They lived in this area, so it was a hurt environment that Jesus deliberately walked into. That's how the story goes. Jesus knew what he was getting himself into. He knew the area that he was visiting. So he wasn't shocked that he came across this man that had a legion of demons in him. He was preparing for this kind of work, like how do you deal with, someone that may have not been Hebrew, because, it's never even mentioned that the man was Hebrew or not. But, if we're trying to, put together pieces, the man was more than likely a Roman soldier, a veteran, so he must have had Roman citizenship. We could be looking at like another Paul, but more than likely him being poor meant several things, like this idea that, God and country, it doesn't change your status in which you fit into society. They still somehow find a way to create hierarchy. You served your country, yet you're still poor. You served your country, yet you can still go hungry. So it makes you rethink about this whole, identity. This man could have been, considered a great warrior, and he could have been a high official. No one knew, what his ranking was in the military, what he experienced. But like me, I've experienced many things in the military, and rank is one of them, and rank. But at the end of the day, no one cares.
You can't.
No, seriously.
Yeah, you can't come out without your rank.
But yeah, exactly. It comes down to like it didn't matter like what rank you were, because I've befriended people that were like master sergeants, E8s, man, like top of the food chain kind of people, And I realized they were just as fucking human as me. They put their boots on just like me. It really didn't make you like, it didn't secure like a better life, so to speak. It was like, it just made me realize like, we're still all people and we're part of something bigger, and these people, they didn't come out avoiding PTSD. They had it too, they deal with it too,
Something needs to be said, or something should be said rather, though, for the status of these individuals when they're active.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What I find is that, like, even if you look at how these vaccines are being distributed, the ones who are actively important are the ones who are at the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
The ones who are actively visible, the ones who are actively audible are the ones who are at the top, who can pull the strings. Like when 45, contracted it, he got every cocktail imaginable.
Yes.
when Christie got it, Giuliani, Pence, when all of them got it, I'm sure they had. I'm sure they probably got the cure. You know what I mean? But when you look at Herman Cain, who was one of their cronies when he was alive, he was a man of means when he was here.
Yeah.
But as he contracted it and he's gone. I'm not even going to bring up the color issue, but anyway, it makes you wonder how important really are you if you're not at the top of the food chain. Versus how expendable you truly are when your status is no longer an issue.
Yeah, that does like play a heavy role, because when we think about like how we even think of ourselves, or value ourselves, that's reflective too. If, for example, right, when I got out of the military, I didn't believe that I was good enough or good because I was not part of the military. Like that's part of the brainwashing that takes place. Like when you try to become something like an institute or an idea, like this idea to be like a great soldier, came with like a price of looking at myself and saying, well, if you're not fit or you're not in the uniform or you're not getting recognized, then you're not good. So what does it mean then when you leave the military and you're no longer in uniform, you're no longer doing physical fitness tests, and you're no longer, talking about how fast you are or how well you shot on the range or something. Now, how do you value yourself? And I guess for the sake of this conversation, how we value ourselves in 2021 should look different than 2020. We shouldn't be looking at ourselves and saying we're any less because we think we have less or we're doing less, and I guess that is also talking about ministers too. Maybe you're not working physically in the church or you're not doing as many sermons. Doesn't make you any less. Maybe you didn't attend or donate as much to the church. Doesn't make you any less.
Well, I'm thinking, maybe it's just me being, having my troublemaker mentality. I think it depends on what side of the coin these ministers are on, prior to 2020. Because what I found is that if you were on the right side of, I don't want to say religion, to me, with my understanding, if you were on the right side of Christianity, you increased that which you were doing prior to. And if you were on the wrong side, you kind of just blended into the background. Because I found that I read a quote earlier today, actually, that said, if 2020 did not increase your hustle, the hustle was never in you. So if you weren't tested this year enough to work on whatever plan you have for your life, if you weren't tested enough to work on whatever you've been putting on the back burner, if you weren't tested enough to try to open up that business or try to secure financial freedom for your family, you never really wanted it in the first place. Because for this to happen in 2020 means it can happen again. For this country to almost fail, the number one country in the world to almost fail, if it didn't make you stop and think like, well, wait a minute, I can't keep putting all of my eggs into this one basket. If you didn't try to at least secure another basket, like you really need to just take inventory. Like, what are you doing here? I can speak for my family. Like we're making changes to our living situation to ease the financial burden, to ease every situation possible. We're doing whatever we can for our kids to get them cultured because they're no longer physically in school. So you have to do other things. You follow what I'm saying? So if you feel as though 2020 was a one-off year, something's wrong. If you think 45 was a one-off president, something's wrong. If you think Ahmaud Arbery was a one-off killing, something is wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because these things keep happening. Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, these are not one-offs. And for all of those to be happening on this in this year, it can happen. And I say that because with all that happened, the country didn't blow up. That means we're only reaching the boiling point. This is not the explosion that's bound to happen. Because, with any cauldron, with any volcano, things bubble up. The gases bubble up to the top, and a little bit of ash comes out before the eruption. There's a little earthquake before the eruption. And this is what I think we're going through. So if you are not preparing to either move away or shelter or do something to either prevent or to temper the results of the impending explosion, something is wrong because it's coming.
Wow! I can't wait to watch the next episode of 2Guys&aTinyDesk. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe.